What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus package updates, daily news, pretty much everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., and daily news. Everything you need to know about on a daily basis. Money, investing, the stock market. And remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below and hit the like button for us. It really helps out our channel. There's a lot going on here today. Congress is trying to finish up the stimulus package this week. I'm going to give you the latest updates here in this video, as well as the stock market is exploding today. And Senator Kirsten Sinema is under fire today. You're not going to believe this. Yeah, as we come down here to the final stages of closing the stimulus package here, the Senate is trying to finish out the stimulus package and the debt limit that they have to do here, preferably before December 15th here. Yeah, that is the estimated date to prevent the country from literally defaulting here. We're down to 9 days. Yeah, so they have to get on their horse and finish that here. We have a lot going on here. They also have to finish the NDAA to fund the military here this week. So there's a lot going on here in Congress. And I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Extra. The Extra card is a debit card that builds your credit and earns rewards points just like a credit card. Today, there are over 100 million Americans who don't want or can't get a credit card. Yet there are very few alternatives for establishing your credit other than a credit card. That's where the Extra debit card comes in, making credit building safer and more accessible for everyone. The Extra card is for anyone, though, especially if you're new to credit or if you're rebuilding your credit. And you can earn up to 1% in reward points everywhere, like rideshare, coffee, and phone bills. And spend your points in Extra's exclusive reward shops. It's that easy. Plus, Extra connects to your bank account so there's no credit check. And you can't spend more money than what you have. So check out the Extra card today and start building your credit and earn rewards with the Extra debit card. Check out the link down below in the description of this video and the pinned comments down below. Okay, Congress is trying to finish up the stimulus package this week. They're actually supposed to go on break at the end of this week, and they have already extended it in potential thoughts that they might need to start voting on it here. So they have already extended their break, their Christmas break here, knowing that they have a lot to do here. They have the stimulus package, they have the debt limits, and they have to fund the military, the National Defense Authorization here. So the Senate and the House already know that they got a lot to do here, and they're already extending their break, knowing that they got to get on their horse and do it. You can see here in this from today, Democrats ramp up talks with the Senate parliamentarian on the Biden spending bill, the next stimulus package, the Build Back Better bill. Remember, the Senate parliamentarian is kind of the referee on what can or cannot be included in the stimulus package. But remember that they can overrule her, but she is kind of the referee that is going to make rulings on whether or not certain things can be in the stimulus package. And they're trying to speed up the process on this so that they can get this stimulus package done as soon as possible here. Senate Democrats are ramping up talks with the Senate parliamentarian as they try to hit an ambitious goal of passing President Biden's climate and social spending bill before Christmas. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, a Democrat from New York, in a Dear Colleague letter to Senate Democrats released on Monday, detailed meetings that committees and Democratic staff have or will have with the Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough, who provides guidance on whether a proposal complies with the rules on what can or cannot be passed through the budget reconciliation process. The process Democrats are seeking to use to pass their massive spending bill. Remember, the reconciliation process is not a normal process. Remember, normally they're using this card to pass the stimulus package with only 50 to 51 votes in the Senate. Normally, you need 60 votes to pass a bill in the Senate, like the bill they just passed to fund the government to prevent a government shutdown. Okay, that bill goes only until February 18th. Okay, the debt limit or the debt ceiling is not included in that bill, contrary to some misreporting. Um, I don't know where it's coming from, but going around here, the debt limit has not been raised. They still need to do that. Okay, so keep that in mind. But they have funded the government, which is part of the annual government funding to keep the government and government services open. Okay, that needed 60 votes in the Senate. That's how a normal bill passes in the Senate. But the reconciliation process is kind of a special rule where they can pass in the Senate with 50 to 51 votes, and can be passed a certain amount of times throughout the year through special circumstances only, with special rules. And one of the main rules for this is that it must affect the budget. Okay. And the Senate parliamentarian comes in and says whether or not certain criteria meets this rule. In the third stimulus check package, she ruled that raising the minimum wage for the country did actually not meet this rule, because raising the minimum wage kind of is done by, it's not really the government that per se pays this. Eh, that's debatable because the government is an employer. But nonetheless, she and the Democrats tried to make this case on that, and she rules it wasn't really the right circumstance to raise the minimum wage, and that it should have been done through a standalone bill or a different bill, not through the reconciliation process. The Democrats tried to overrule her and get the 50 votes in the Senate, but they only got 42 votes to do that. Okay, so they can raise the minimum wage on a federal basis, but they have not taken up another bill since then. But they have not taken up another bill to raise the federal minimum wage since then. Okay, so that is something that they can do here in the future. I'll keep you up to date on that. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer writes in this letter, the committees with the two largest pieces of the bill, finance and health, are set to have their final Democratic-only briefings on Monday and Tuesday, with the formal bipartisan bird bath. This is after former Senator Byrd, BYRD, meetings to follow. So they're trying to finish this stuff up this week here. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer wrote in the letter, quote, our goal is to finalize the remaining committees over the course of this week and possibly next, if they can't finish it this week. I am confident the senators will have ample time to review the text and the CBO scores, he added. The roughly $2 trillion spending bill has to go through a so-called bird bath, interesting terminology there, during which the Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough weighs in whether the bill complies under the Byrd Rule, which lays out restrictions for what can be passed under the budgetary reconciliation rules. Among those rules is that a proposal has to have an impact on the federal spending, budget, and revenues, and that the impact isn't merely incidental to its non-budgetary goals. As part of that process, Republicans and Democratic staffers meet separately with the parliamentarian in informal meetings and then sit down with her together to make their competing pitches. Democrats are still awaiting McDonough's ruling on their last immigration plan, and Judiciary and Budgetary Committee staff, as well as leadership staff for both Republicans and Democrats, met with her last week. Also, the U.S. House of Representatives Oversight Committee has scheduled a December 9th hearing on prescription drug pricing to lower the cost of prescription drugs. So this is a really big thing as part of the next stimulus package, which would lower the cost of prescription drug pricing for over 100 million Americans. Yeah, so this is a really, really big thing here, and literally lowering the cost of almost every prescription drug that has been on the market that's not a brand new prescription here. So there's going to be a big hearing here in a few days on December 9th in the House, as well as they are set to unveil findings on long-running prescription drug pricing probe and discuss reforms on how to lower cost in this next stimulus package, which is a very big thing. Remember, they want to lower the cost of insulin alone from $600 to $35 is a big example on how much they want to lower cost in this next stimulus package for prescription drugs. So it's a very big thing here. Meanwhile, stocks are soaring today. The Dow Jones Index is having one of its best days of the year, up almost 750 points here, up 744 points here as of time of recording here, which is just a little bit before it goes live. One of the best days of the year, really, really up, having a phenomenal day here. The Dow Jones at over 35,000 points here after being plummeted last week on Friday, getting crushed, and again on a few days since then, getting back some of the gains that it had. And we've had very choppy sessions as well. Also, Bitcoin cryptocurrency has had some rocky days as well. It's down about like 15% here in the last 5 days, going down from about 57,000 to 49,000. Just in a few days, it had a huge, massive drop over the weekend here from Saturday to like Sunday, and in the last month, it's down from about, I think it's about 27% here, from 68,000 its high on November 10th to now 49,000. So if you're looking to buy into cryptocurrency, it might be a good time to buy now into Bitcoin. Of course, you don't need to buy a whole coin. You could literally buy a thousandth of a coin. But it's down 27, 28% I think from the high. And yeah, it's an interesting time here as things are quite off their highs here as well. Of course, we still have to worry about the debt limit, which has a lot of investors spooked here, and we're going to have to see what happens here with the debt limit as well going forward. Also, another thing to worry about with this stimulus package going forward is Senator Kirsten Sinema as well as Joe Manchin. If you remember here in the last day or so, Kirsten Sinema gave that interview. She doesn't give interviews very often. And in fact, I think that's the only interview that I can even remember her giving, maybe ever in quite a while. Well, and I even seen a lot of your guys' comments because I made a comment that a lot of her answers were like, "Well, I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to respond to that. I'm not going to respond to that in public." And well, she got quite blasted for her interview because she doesn't even give interviews, and we've seen a lot of. I've shown a lot of footage of her being kind of confronted. Remember, she got confronted in the bathroom. That really wasn't really very couth. But I showed another footage of her being kind of not really confronted, but an activist from her own state following her in the airport, just kind of asking her questions, and she just flat out ignored her. And she was like, "Hi, I'm a constituent from your state. Can you talk to me about the Build Back Better package? Can you talk to me about immigration? Can you talk to me about climate?" And she just flat out ignored her. Didn't even respond to her like she was a person at all. And I thought that was kind of crazy. Like if someone seen me at the airport and was like, "Hey, Jimmy, it's you from YouTube. How are you?" I'd be like, "Hey, thanks for being a fan." I wouldn't be like, just flat out ignore them, right? Especially if I was a senator from Arizona, I'd be like, "Well, thanks for voting for me." If anything, if I was like in a hurry, I'd be like, "I only got a minute. I'm jumping on a plane. I have a quick second. Real quickly, just I'll give you a quick second here. I got to run, something like that, right? I mean, if you're in a hurry, give them a minute. But she just literally didn't even respond to her. In fact, I think the only thing she said to her was, "Don't touch me." If you remember seeing that video, it was kind of rude, to be honest. Well, she's getting a lot of criticism from her one and only interview she did. Check this out.
Arizona's senior Democratic Senator Kyrsten Sinema sat down for a national TV interview. And since she's certainly not doing this show anytime soon, I thought I'd take a few moments to pitch some of the follow-up questions I'd have asked her if I'd been confronted with some of her, let's say, disingenuous answers. Ready the receipts and roll the tape.
What I really want to focus on is how to get to a solution and solve a problem that matters to everyday folks in Arizona.
Now, Senator Sinema, is that really what you're concerned about, the everyday folks in Arizona? Is that why you left D.C. in the midst of infrastructure negotiations to return to your state, not to speak to your constituents, but to attend a high-end corporate fundraiser? And isn't it the case that your positions on everything from reform of pharmaceutical drug pricing to cryptocurrency regulation seem to coincidentally and magically reflect the interests not of the everyday folks of Arizona, but of your corporate donors?
Serving in the exact way that I've campaigned on over the last near decade that I've served in Washington, D.C. And when I ran for the United States Senate in 2018, I told the folks of Arizona what I would do.
Senator, if you're serving exactly as you've campaigned for a decade, then how come in 2014, when you were a member of the House, you tweeted that raising the minimum wage was a, quote, no-brainer? But as a senator, when presented with the chance to act on that no-brainer and deliver a higher wage, you did this instead.
I would never promise something to the American people that I can't deliver. And I think it's not responsible for elected leaders to do that.
Can't deliver? Are you serious, Senator? Your party controls the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So isn't it, in fact, the case that the only reason that Democrats are struggling to deliver on their hugely popular agenda is because of you? Oh, and Joe Manchin.
So you should just be honest. That's something my parents taught me when I was very young, and it stuck.
Can I just ask, Senator, is it honest to say you support the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, a critical piece of legislation aimed at protecting American democracy, and that you're honoring the legacy of a man you once called a dear friend when you block its passage through the Senate by blocking any reform of the filibuster? Is that you really being straight with the American people?
I am very upfront when I talk to folks about what I believe in, what I can support and what I can't support.
But, Senator, how often do you even talk to folks in Arizona? Why are you so averse to holding town halls in your home state, to meeting with the activists who knocked on doors and helped you get elected? Why do you regularly ignore constituents who try and talk to you in the street, as is their right? And how can the folks in Arizona be so sure what their senator believes in when pulling teeth is easier than getting an interview with you? Still, Senator Sinema, the door is open here on this show. If you'd like to answer any of my questions, that is, on your stance on voting rights, support for the filibuster, and big corporate donors. See you soon, Senator.
Yeah, Senator Kyrsten Sinema, from Democratic senator from Arizona. It's her first term as a senator. And, well, you can tell me your thoughts if you think she'll be reelected. She's come under a lot of criticism for her stance and her opposition from her own party, from her own Democratic Party, for holding up this stimulus package and the third stimulus package. And you really don't see this very often, where you get criticism from your own party like this. Joe Manchin gets this a lot as well, but Joe Manchin is a lot more popular in his state per se. He's been the former governor of West Virginia, and he has been a staple of West Virginia. So he has a lot more roots in West Virginia than Kyrsten Sinema does per se. So, Joe Manchin being reelected is a much different story than Kyrsten Sinema being reelected. Let me know if you're from West Virginia with Joe Manchin's thoughts, or if you're from Kyrsten Sinema, or let me know your thoughts on either of them being reelected here in the future. Remember that senators serve 6-year terms. 6-year terms. So when they're reelected for a long time. Like Mitch McConnell was just reelected, and I believe he's 79 years old, and he will be serving until he's 85. Going forward. So when you're elected as a senator, you're in there for quite a while. quite a while. In comparison to the House of Representatives, when you're elected, you're only elected for a 2-year term. So like Nancy Pelosi, when she's reelected in the House or was just reelected, you got to get reelected every 2 years. It comes and goes pretty quickly as opposed to a 6-year term. Now, the Senate has elections every 2 years, but they basically, about a third of the Senate is up for reelection every 2 years. So a third comes up for reelection, and then like another third of the Senate comes up for reelection because remember, they serve 6-year terms. So yeah, very, very different thing. It's actually kind of probably cumbersome to go up for a new reelection if you were serving a term there in the House to kind of go up for a new reelection campaign basically every year and a half and kind of going through that process. I could see that being, you know, trying to do that whole process again as a candidate, if you were a candidate, which I don't plan to be anytime soon. But I've seen a lot of comments on that. It just seems very daunting to do. But let me know your thoughts. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country, as well as with this stimulus package. The debt limit, which they're going to have to do to prevent our country from defaulting, the national defense authorization to get our military funded, which has already failed a vote in the Senate once already, as well as everything else going on here in our country. So make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't yet. It's completely free to do so. Click the bell icon after subscribing. And remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And this video is how there's a new push for $1,000 to $2,000 stimulus checks to be included in this next stimulus package. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.